So, during the intermission of yesterday's Hockey Night in Canada broadcast between the Vancouver Canucks and the Toronto Maple Leafs, we had ourselves some word from the NHL insiders, I think it was Jeff Merrick in particular, who brought this up, that the Vancouver Canucks, when it comes to their entire trading scenario of the 2021 trade deadline and whatnot, we've been getting a few updates. We've been talking about all the players on the Canucks that teams might be interested in, guys that Canucks might move, Luke, Schenn, Miller, Garland, whatever, but we hadn't really been having too much of a discussion as to who the Canucks could actually want back. We've been highlighting, okay, packages, maybe a first-round pick here and there, maybe a prospect in another conversation, but never really any solidified names. Well, Jeff Merrick yesterday came out and said it right on the broadcast that there is a name on the New Jersey Devils that the Vancouver Canucks indeed are interested in. That name is Pavel Zacha. And this is a conversation we're going to have in this video talking about Zacha. We're going to be talking about Conor Garland because he's the guy that was highlighted by, I believe it was Friedman, to potentially being a New Jersey Devils target. And so you have one, you have the other, you can put them together into a conversation here. Let's talk about the New Jersey Devils, Pavel Zacha, who this guy is, and why the Vancouver Canucks see value in him. Now, just a quick disclaimer for anybody who's going to go out there and try to label the all of a sudden everybody in Vancouver is a Pavel Zacha expert label, because that kind of does pop itself up once in a while. We talked about that in the Kraftsaw video, by the way. Pavel Zacha is a guy that I've been talking about in this channel for a while. The reason for that is because he was drafted all the way back in 2015, which is a very good draft. Everybody kind of remembers McDavid, Jack Eichel, Marner, you had Hanifin at the top. Strome was not really as good as people wanted him to be. But in that class of top players, you had yourselves Pavel Zacha, who was supposed to be a really big-bodied, physical, power forward-like guy who could score 35, 40 goals in his prime. That's what a lot of people thought the Devils were getting when they drafted this player 6th overall in 2015. However, as his career has progressed, he was never really able to get that sort of a caliber of play within his system. There were a lot of ups, there were a few downs, and he was just pretty much a consistent 25-ish point guy for the earlier stages of his career. Now, last year, he actually did sort of pop off. 35 points in 50 games played, that was his best statistical year, and he had 17 goals in the entire season. We made a video talking about how people thought of him as a bust because you had really good players going after Zacha in the 2015 draft, but he's sort of redeeming himself in this season in 2020-2021. For example, there are some other players immediately after Zacha who were taken, like Zach Werenski, Timo Meier, Mikko Rantanen. You have even more players down further like Barzal and Connor and Shabbat. And so, Zacha kind of had that sort of bust-ish label on him for a while for many fans outside the New Jersey Devils system. But last season's performance gave us hope. It gave us the idea that Pavel Zacha and what he was supposed to be might still be sort of there. Maybe not to the same extent that would have garnered a 6th overall draft pick, but it was still sort of there. And unfortunately for Zacha this year, he has kind of taken a step back. He's got 22 points in 45 games played this season, so it is a little bit of a decline from what he had accomplished last year, but many Devils fans would go out there and label the inconsistencies as pretty much the biggest problem here. You don't know which Zacha you're getting night in, night out. His streakiness, his ability to contribute, it's not really ever constant. And so, this is a guy playing on a New Jersey Devils system as a center left wing. Some people have said he plays better on the left wing, but when he is on center, he is behind Hischier and Hughes. There's a growing idea amongst NHL insiders that Pavel Zacha could just very well be a reclamation project and a guy who does need a change of scenery. There were some other rumors from a few other insiders talking about how the St. Louis Blues, I believe, might actually have interest in Zacha too, but of course, because I'm a Canucks fan, I'm talking about Vancouver in this respect. And I saw a lot of Canucks fans immediately upon hearing the news, okay, Zacha, he's on the block, or there were already rumors that he was getting traded, and apparently Vancouver wants him. I saw a lot of Canucks fans saying, okay, why the heck are we going to do this? We do not need any more reclamation projects. Remember all the reclamation projects we had gotten over the years? We had Emerson Edom, we had Nikolai Goldolbin, we had a few other guys, just to name a few off the top of my head. And I get it, there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of, let's just say, unwillingness for a lot of Canucks fans to go out there and even tempt the idea of going over more reclamation projects. But for Pavel Zacha, I don't really want to go out there and dismiss it right away. Firstly, this is Jim Rutherford at the helm, or excuse me, I said it again, it's Patrick Allvin at the helm, it's not Benning. We shouldn't, in theory, have the same qualms with this management team that we had with the last one, where they're getting guys like Marcus Granlund, Philip Larson, all these, just bottom-of-the-barrel guys trying to make them into something. Jim Rutherford, to his credit, has had reclamation projects before, and he's actually had them work out pretty well. Now, I get it, playing with Malkin and Crosby is going to help out in that respect, but Rutherford has had a pretty good track record in building teams using assets that could benefit from a change of scenery. Pavel Zacha could very well just be the next name on that list. Now, when it comes to where he could fit in, if he's able to go out there and consistently be what he should be able to be, he could go out there and max out as a 25-goal scorer, a 30-goal scorer maybe in some years, and a consistent top 6 power forward. He should be able to do that if he reaches his potential. It's just his consistency has been such a problem that we don't know if that's really all too possible. This season, though, if you do the math, though, 22 divided by 45 multiplied out by 82, he is on pace for 40 points on the year, and I mean, it's not bad, right? But the guy's making $2.25 million until the end of this season. He will be an RFA, and the qualifying offer, I believe if he accepts it, it takes him right to unrestricted free agency. So if the Vancouver Canucks would actually be interested in getting this player, which according to Merrick, it appears they are going to need to be sure they're going to be able to lock this guy up and re-sign him for an extended amount of time so that he just doesn't up and away leave after one season with the team. You don't want to go out there and make a trade and just have these assets completely wither away a year after the trade is done. Do you hear that, Jim Benning? You can't be trading your prospects for guys that only stick around for a few months, eh? Now, when it comes to a potential trade, we had seen the Devils apparently be interested in Conor Garland. And I saw a lot of Devils fans go out there and say, okay, if it's Pavel Zacha and a second, we can do that and it'll get Garland. No, I'm sorry, that's not gonna work. Conor Garland is a guy who, if you take a look at his entire situation, Garland's 25, Zacha is 24. They're only separated by 1 year. Garland has also signed a $5 million till the end of 2026. Sure, he's a lot smaller than Zacha, but this guy's a lot more consistent than Zacha too. You saw the interview of him saying that he's disappointed in his play because he's not producing all too much. Hey, Conor Garland has probably been one of the most consistent players on the Canucks this season, even though his point production is not at the top like a JT Miller is. He is just all over the play. You can see why this guy gets his points. He works for those points. And last season, you do the math, 39 divided by 49 multiplied out by 82, Conor Garland on the Arizona Coyotes was on pace for 65 points last year. This season, 26 divvy 44 multiplied out by 82, he's on pace for 48. So even though you could say Conor Garland is having somewhat of a disappointing year point production-wise, he's still going out there being as impactful as Canucks fans have come to see him, and he's still outproducing Pavel Zacha this year. So there is indeed a bigger, more, I'd say, reliable body of work that Conor Garland can bring to your hockey team, plus the contract situation. He's signed for a while, and he signed at a pretty cheap cap hit. If he's able to go out there and produce 50, 60 points in a year, that $5 million AAV salary is a steal, and he's only a year older. You're not going to trade Zacha and a second for Garland. You're going to have to add on a lot more. Vancouver has somewhat of a position of power in these kinds of negotiations for guys like Garland and for guys like Miller because they're so good that they can demand a boatload of stuff. You can't go out there and say that Pavel Zacha is going to improve the Vancouver Canucks over Conor Garland because Garland is just the better player right now. He's more consistent and he produces more. So, for New Jersey, it's difficult to try to label what exactly Pavel Zacha costs, because he can be really good. We saw that last year. We saw the best out of Zacha in his, 5-year NHL career so far? But it hasn't really been there consistently enough to put a price tag on it. And so, the Vancouver Canucks are going to have a pretty in-depth conversation about this player, should they really decide they want to go out there and make a trade officially. Especially if that trade includes a Conor Garland going the opposite way. Now, I don't want to piss anybody off by saying what a Pavel Zacha trade proposal for Conor Garland in my mind looks like, because I think about Zacha, I think about maybe a first, I think about maybe another very top-tier prospect, and I don't want to hear anybody in the comments saying, oh, just do Quinn Hughes for Zacha, 1-for-1, we can reunite the Hugheses. Shut up, man, come on, I don't want to hear any of that in the comment section below. So, either way, talk to me in the comments, all your stuff, and yeah, no hard feelings, I was just kind of joking. Let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Garland, Zacha, Vancouver, New Jersey. I hope you enjoyed this British 99, and bye.